shed your old skin like a snake. And you have snakes in your story. What do you like about snakes?
You know, when I was a little girl, I used to collect garter snakes and I would try to corral them in, but they always crawled away. But you know, there was this man who was not a very nice man. And so one day when he was visiting us, and he used to always like to get in my pants, so to speak. But anyway, I chased him around with a snake. And I discovered how powerful that was. And but it's not only that, but my grandmother also used snakes to heal people. So they have a lot of, I like them, depending on.
Isn't it? That can be used as a salve.
I don't know all the details of that, the medicine. I just know I think she used them for migraines. For people with migraines, yeah. But they're about transformation.
What do you know about your grandmother? Were you alive at the same time?
She lived till I was 16, and she kept me when I was a little girl when my mom went to the sanatorium. And she was a medicine woman, and I used to watch her grind her roots and bones and make poultice out of them. But she also had a sweat lodge, and in those days, it was outlawed. And so we would have it in the porch, and my grandfather would cover the table with blankets and lift up the slabs from the floor where they had an earth floor and a pit inside. So my grandfather would, scalpels would bring in the rocks from my grandmother. And that was my first exposure to the sweat lodge. Yeah.
You carried her with you through the book.
Absolutely, yes, yeah.
I did ask you earlier what it's like to reflect back on your life, but I think you've been reflecting for a long time, haven't you?
Yeah. Psychotherapy with my psychiatrist in my 30s and going back to my culture with our elders and them teaching us of that ceremony is our psychology. Did the braiding and the sewing of my spirit. There's no other way to put it except it was a long journey of recovery. And periodically I'll get some flashbacks, but they don't command my psyche now.
You talk about finding home through ceremony and protocols and also the language. What brings you home through language?
When I was in Ontario, living in Ontario with my beloved, I didn't speak a whole lot of Cree. There was no Cree speakers there. And, that I came across anyway, we were living in Hamilton. Who done that? And so when I came back home to Alberta, I couldn't speak my language. So I took a beginner's course in Cree. And when I saw my auntie, I just wept and wept. And I thought this was a language of love that brought me home. And, I hear about people saying, I want to belong somewhere. We belong with everything that's inside us, and I belong to the language. I no longer feel like I have to belong somewhere because it's all within. Yeah.
How long has it taken you to come to that understanding?
It's a life journey. But, you know, I mean, I used to feel like I was on the margins all the time. And I'm okay with that too, because you can break all kinds of rules, right?
Did you feel that way when you first started writing?
When I feel that way when I first started writing. I didn't know a lot of writers when I first started to write, and most of the time what I felt was I was behind as a reader, especially to established writers who had read about all these other famous old men authors, and I would never know what they were talking about. And so I always felt behind that way. But did I feel like I belong in a community of writers? I never spent a lot of time thinking about it. I just wrote. I mean, it came from a dream place, it came from ceremony, and that was my life's gift, and I strive to honor it.
You write about the first time you decided to submit a piece of writing to an anthology. I can't remember what it was called, but I think it was Native Women, Western Canadian, in Western Canada. That was it.
Yeah.
Writing the Circle.
Yeah.
Professor Emma LaRocque is in the house. And I just want to make that clear to the people who can't necessarily see Emma, but thank you for that. Thank you very much, Dr. LaRocque. And you felt you had nothing to lose, so you just sent it out. And then what happened?
Well, Sylvia, I forget her last name.
Vance?
Yeah, Sylvia Vance. Yeah, she's the one who encouraged me to pursue the writing. But before I met her, I had an English professor who was just one of the most fantastic professors I've had in the English language, who encouraged my writing, because all I was doing was journaling, really. I didn't know I was a poet. I mean, I wrote poetry when I was 16, but you know, when you're 16, you're worrying about your damn funeral, feeling sorry for yourself. I think a lot of people do that, you know, they put dirt in the grave and you have prayer. You know, but I was writing poetry then, but I didn't know it was poetry. And so when I was just keeping a journal, the journal taught me I was writing poetry. I didn't set out to be a poet.
I think we should hear you read.
Okay.
Okay. How about Rising Dawn's vision? Because there's a really important point in this poem. You've already made it, but I'll get you to read it, and it's on page 22.
Okay. Rising dawn spirit before the birds began their poetry. She told me my head is a lodge where spirit enters the well of inner vision. I open my hands, splay my fingers, stretch my arms. I see the tree branches are fingers that reach for the heavens, how the sturdier limbs are the forearm that holds the cup hand. See how the elbow is bent, shaped to cradle an infant. The arm is also a stem holding the bowl contained within the ribbed lodge. It glows with each breath. My legs are trunks, feet flat with split toes. I am grounded. My umbilical cord was attached to the earth. Remember this, everything is inside of you. Thank you.
Everything is inside of you. Yeah. Let us in on that very early on. But when did you come to understand that?
You know, when I was in ceremony with the late Joe B. Cardinal on my home reserve, that's what he would say to us. Everything is inside you. And he would also say, it's up to you. You know, and that simple phrase is up to you. When you make a choice, and choice was forward, a foreign perspective for me because I didn't know all my actions related to choice. And with every choice is a consequence. And I didn't know that. I just lived a crazy life, man. Yeah, the consequences, you know. But so those are important words, and people have a hard time believing that everything is inside you. You know, I've done a lot of reading on psychology and spirituality, and that's what the writings say. But people are afraid to trust that simple message. You know, because we have a dark side and we have a really bright side, and we have to honor both.
We don't want to meet the shadow, right?
But I kind of like my shadow.
Shadow, snake, okay.
She's a naughty girl, I like her.
But you're embracing it all.
Yeah,
As we begin the book, first words aren't actually yours, they're your daughter's. And she's a wonderful writer too.
Yes.
You must be so proud of her.
I am so proud of her. And today is her 45th birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah, me too, happy birthday.
Hey,
But
yeah.
you know, what she calls us and says, thank you for giving me birth. It's, you know, that's how she sees her birthday. Yeah.
I just want to read a little bit of her instruction almost to the reader. And here we go. Oh, that's you. Sorry. Okay. The work here is not only a painful birth, but also many anticipated deaths. Into her seventh decade, Sky Dancer's unrelenting vision, strong back, big wings from the poem Retrospective, have traveled far and continue to wrap myself and you, the reader and witness, in her love. And I think she's asking us to bear witness to your story. And I like that. We're very engaged by your daughter before we even have your first word. So she's a writer too.
I don't think she recognizes it, but she is a fine artist as well. Yeah. But it always takes you a while to recognize your gifts.
I think so.
Yeah.
Sometimes they elude you for a long time.
Yeah.
In the poem that we just heard, and in many places in the book, you talk about trees. And in fact, there is a poem that is a love poem to trees. I don't know if I can put my finger on it right now. But tell us what it is about trees for you, Louise.
You know, if you look at this tree and you take that leaf
There's
apart,
a tree right here. Yeah.
you know, you look at that tree and the leaf is like a feather. If you examine the veins and the shape of it, and I mean, this book is a tree. It's we take our paper from the tree, we take our toilet paper from the tree. It's I don't think we give enough reverence to trees. And I mean, the Sundance pole is a tree, and she's really powerful. And if you think about the Christ mythology in the tree, and there's all of these connections with trees. I was in Brantford, Ontario. We were going out for supper, and this young man held the door open, and he was bare-legged, and he had a tree on his leg, a white boy. So I said to him, "What does that tree mean to you?" He said, "The gift of life." And I thought, yeah. And we're all rooted to her. And I mean, isn't it interesting that people, when they talk about the genealogy, they talk about the tree, and you see it everywhere, the genealogy of, and you find so much information. She was an alcoholic, she was a writer, she was a poet, she was a musician. It's all within the family tree. Yeah.
That's so true.
Mhm.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Yeah.
I probably have been already, right? But do you hug trees?
Do I hug trees? Absolutely.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I got caught the other day in the Assiniboine forest.
Did you kiss it? Did you kiss it?
I haven't got that far in a relationship, but I'll tell you, this is, I mean, we know each other well, and it's not always, I don't know how far I can go, but I'll take you into my medicine cabinet.
Yeah.
Where I have anti-anxiety medication, and I was traveling and I forgot it, and I thought, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I was just having a really bad moment, and I went and I found a tree, and I got everything I needed from the tree.
Mhm.
It was incredible.
Mhm.
Just relaxing into the tree. The tree was so gracious.
Yeah. Yeah.
People think I'm nuts.
No.
You don't think I'm nuts.
No, I don't think you're nuts.
Thank you.
If you're nuts, I'm nuts.
So another almost, this is a mixed metaphor for sure, but almost a river that runs through your book is wind. And today I asked your publisher if they could send me a PDF so I could do a word count on the number of times
Yeah, she
wind
told
comes
me.
in. Oh, did she tell you? Okay. 88 times.
Oh,
88 times. What is wind for you?
well, we're constantly in relationship with the wind. We can't see it, right? It's an invisible spirit. It's an invisible entity, and we breathe it and we fart it. Right, and I mean, everything is in the wind, and all the dinosaurs, all the insects, all the fish of life, all of our ancestors. When we die, our breath is in the wind. How in the hell are we gonna capture it back?
Right.
We breathe all of those ancestors all the time. Yeah, without it, I can suffocate you. What would happen? You fart first.
This is one of the beautiful things about Louise. There's no shame in the body, right?
No.
And you were taught in residential school, but it was the hugest shame. You
Absolutely,
experienced.
yeah.
So you've come away and you really embrace everything about the body.
Yes.
And you seem to love it.
Yeah.
Parts too. Yeah. Okay.
I'd sing you a song about boobs, but I won't.
You can hear John laughing behind the screen. I do want to ask you how, and this is connected with wind, I think, but how you found your voice, which I think if someone put a paragraph in front of me that you've written, but I didn't know who had written it, I would guess you 10 times out of 10, because I hear your voice. It's so original and so unique. We all have a unique voice, I know, but part of it is the way you play with the light and the dark, the heavy and the lighthearted, and humor and sorrow, and it's all there because that's life.
Mhm.
But there's a beautiful poem that's part of an essay, so it doesn't have a title, but it's about finding your voice, and it's on page 37, just at the bottom. You were starving for voice. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, most of us grow up without voice in our family systems, and that's a generalization, but so in a way we're silenced in that system. And also when you're going into education, unless you put your hand up and the teacher points you out, then you may have voice. In residential school, we didn't have voice. And at home, I didn't have voice because it was family violence, and you don't want to attract yourself, be pointed out at
Drawn
home.
to you,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And then, and then throughout your adolescence, somebody's listening to you anyway. So, and then in a married life, you learn to have voice, but you gotta fight for it sometimes. Sometimes even in this situation, in social situations, especially with non-native people, I still don't have voice. It's like they don't know how to talk to a native person unless I break the ice and say, have you ever walked the West Coast Trail? And like, I have to encourage them to think that, hey, maybe we have a commonality, right? But it still happens today. And so in terms of finding voice, let's see, you said that last paragraph?
Yeah, well, you could read the whole poem, actually. Flips over onto the other side.
Okay. Right here?
Yes.
Okay, okay. From the cradle, I inhaled with smoke, tanned hides, smoked dry meat and fish, smudged with tobacco and sweet grass. Wisaketa, Bakakos, Yokamatayugan, Chichipastagon, Wîhtamawik, and BSU. I crawled, walked, flew, swam, and danced in my dream. I watched Mupamis beneath the blanket-covered table, sitting beside hot rocks, steaming waters, a bottle of herbs and roots. But I lost my way, tarred by the thieving sun, muscled by root, stone, beat, and hoe. I worked alongside my family. We wept through bar fights, our brokenness encased in plaster. Now and then the sweetgrass flamed our midnight rooms. Year after year, Sundays filled with a crucified man from foreign land. Children from the same reserve, branches of our blood, became the frontier of tribal wars. I danced with a toothless boy on the reserve, wore Nancy Sinatra boots, a see-through pantsuit in a Calgary bar, flew on Jamaican rum, thumbed my way from bush to city, city to mountain to bush, smoking that cigarette, drinking more. Blind, I birthed into the adult world. Many, many sleeps, many, many winters, many, many dreams. I fasted in eating sun, 4 elders, white and brown, women and men fed my soul. Like an infant in a moss bag, fingers reach for the lost smoke that traveled through the den of my hibernation. For years I walked mute, deaf and blind in the corridors, muttering sin-filled singing prayers in the residential school chapel. On the hillside, starving for a voice, the first thunder of thought drew lightning in the field of my heart. The wind rushed through the womb. And now I come to a short conclusion. I will still my voice while your silence grows. All my relations.
As you stilled your voice, I almost don't want to say anything, but that's not what we're doing here. But in this poem, this is, again, a condensed version of your life. It's amazing. It's so powerful, and the wind comes and heals the wound, which is, again, what the wind does.
Yeah.
When you come, this is a collection of prose and poetry, and when you come to decide what you're going to write, in what ways, there's something that guides you that says, oh, this has to be a poem, or no, I need to make this an essay.
Well, the essays develop on demand, right? People ask me to write about something or to speak about something. And so that's how those essays and presentations evolve. I work intuitively. So if I don't pay attention so much as to what the essay has said, but I just so, I trust my intuition. I don't know how to explain it, and, it just walks out on me, I guess, and it makes it to the paper.
Tracy Lindbergh said, when she's trying to decide between fiction and nonfiction, that she feels that fiction is a place to put precious things, and poetry could be a place to put precious things. Nonfiction is more for her like journaling. That's Tracy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Good for her.
Well, I wondered if you had the same feeling. Poetry being something maybe more secret.
My understanding is that poetry always had a voice from way, way beyond anybody, and but a lot of people don't read poetry because they're petrified of it because of how condensed it is and how deep it may be, and they don't want to take the time. And a lot of people think of poetry as a rhyme and a rhythm of way back when you used to write poetry that way, I guess. And they've lost interest in it. And yet it's a lot of writers revere poetry. Yeah.
I saw you last at a gathering at Queen's University called Honoring the Word Warriors,
Yes, yes.
which was a beautiful event because it was our senior writers with emerging writers and writers who are in their 30s and 40s. And Emily Riddle did an interview with you. And you told her at one point you had to stop poetry because you didn't have a safe place to put it. And the other thing you told her was we have to educate, educate, educate. And I don't know if you remember what you said.
Yes.
When you turned to the audience, you said, what the F is wrong with you guys, right? Why do we have to keep doing this? Education and education. And you have a poem called Bone Weary, which is about that.
Yeah.
And that is on page 220. Would you read that for us?
Bone weary. Yeah. Educate, educate, educate. We share the stories till we are dragging our tongues across the kitchen floors. Bone weary, throats clogged with settler goodwill, we must educate, educate, educate. Lives bundled to view in museums, treated like walking cadavers, we challenge the deaf and blind who come with eyes closed, expecting pat answers or pretty parcels in exchange for hard, complicated questions. Orange shirts do not erase the beatings, the rapes, the crippling memories. Leaving our mouths, ceremonies and memory, both drowned by nunnish howls, has forced us to battle for our niche in this whiteout. The smoked buckskin people who were once provided for by this green earth, now we persevere, gather and hunt for a better future. You know, it is, I get asked a lot to do presentations in universities and whatnot, and that's all the elders, the knowledge keepers, that's what we're doing constantly, educate, educate, educate. This is good. However, it's taken them a long time to get to that place. And sometimes we're just so tired because we're going, you know, guys, you have a command of the English language. You know how to research. Go and do your research. You know, don't just ask me. Go and ask Emma Laurent. Go and ask Ruthie. Go ask Peter Butt. Go ask, you know,
Charlie.
yeah. Yeah, of course, John, we say Charlie, Johnny.
Johnny, that's right, yes, exactly.
Johnny. That's how we say it in Cree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know what time it is.
I don't know.
because all I see is us on the timer, but, it's okay, 20 to 8, which means we have 20 minutes or so. And I don't know if you have questions that have been brewing. You could start by asking them now, and I know it is always hard to be the first person. So you could pretend to be the second. Maybe that would help, but if not, I am happy to carry on. Nothing so far, and that's fine, absolutely. I want to ask you about ceremony in the book and just how far you felt you could go in describing ceremony. In her book, The Sasquatch at Home, Eden Robinson, it's all about the protocols and that division of wanting to educate, and so that people know what was taken away as part of that education, but then not always wanting to conserve the ceremony, the protocol and tradition. So how did you decide what could be said and what could not be said?
I asked the elders. I asked the elders first and foremost, and also I figured, you know what? I'm tired of anthropologists and archaeologists making answers for us. We have our own voice, and we can choose to educate as much as we desire. However, to respect always protocol. I'll go to a point, and there's some that I will maybe disclose a little bit more, like the moon ceremony for a young woman, because that is just, like my daughter is now 45, and we had our first moon ceremony for her when she was 13 or 14. And so she's been learning for a long time, but I invited the elders on my home reserve and her aunties and her best friend. And we had the men sit on the outside because that's not their role. And so I spoke about that because we had to create it, because that ceremony was gone, basically, because I didn't know who to ask. How do you do a ceremony for a young woman just coming for the first time in her menses? You know, nobody really had that up to. It's like we're now challenging, how do I talk to people, especially women, about menopause? Do we have a ritual for menopause? As far as I know, we don't. We just call each other, well, your grandmother has arrived now, or your cookum has left, you know, something to that effect. But we don't have a word for menopause except to say she's changed her life because she's a cookum now, grandmother.
Your description of the ceremony for your daughter is really beautiful and very detailed, including passing out fruit and then how she avoids that fruit for a whole year.
Yeah.
As she learns, as she gathers teachings, and then we come back in a year to see what she's learned. It's so powerful.
It is.
And you know, it takes out the shame and it puts in the power. It's really, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These days, I don't think the girls are taught they should give it up for a year.
Yeah.
I think maybe a few days or a month, but a year is really profound because, I mean, she was educating my husband and I, and she'd say, I can't have that.
Yeah.
We'd offer terms, no, I can't have that.
I did another word count, and that's love. And that's a close one to win, 79. 79. So what's love? I almost want to say what's love got to do with it, you know, but it seems to infuse everything in your book, everything, even the darkness.
You know, the late Joe P. Cardinal, that was his last message to us. Love is the most important word. And I examined love and I think of it not only, and I think it's probably a trickster. but also because it's one of the most difficult words to live up to. Especially when you decide that you don't like a certain person, and it's not about the person, it's about the behavior. People need to distinguish that difference. The person will always evolve, the behavior sometimes gets stuck and it's ugly, you know, and we may have our prejudices toward that person. How can you love somebody like that, right? So, you know, like for example, my father was a volatile person, and yet, although we couldn't settle our differences, I think that ultimately we loved one another. In spite of the violence, in spite of the fear that he placed within my psyche, and I mean, to his dying day, I was afraid of my father because I couldn't break that barrier of let's speak the truth. You know, possibly because he wasn't ready for it, and possibly because I wasn't ready for it as well. So it's it's a tough teacher, that love, and yet, you know, I love life. I love people. I love teasing. I love being a bad girl. I love you know, I love people. I love my language. And I love my culture, and I feel terribly in terms of what's going on this present age, and with the Ukrainians and all the wars. I look at these greedy, selfish men, and I'm going, I'm supposed to love them. I think not. You know, it's hard to love.
It is hard to love.
You know, so it pushes your boundaries for sure. Like, how far do I go to love that Putin and that Trump? Do I love them? I'm trying to send it to the universe.
There's a whole other interview we could do about where love is in their lives too. It's so hard to know. But you talk about how it all has to start with humility as well. And that's not necessarily something that's natural to so many people. We forget about humility.
And yet, you know, what's interesting about humility is that when you go out and risk to talk to a person, you're learning about humility. Except that we haven't attached the word to it. You know, I was telling somebody the other day, you know, when I was going back and learning about my culture, I was petrified of elders. I was petrified because I didn't know how I was going to be received, you know, and so it was about humbling myself and going, well, I'm just gonna have to risk it and see what happens. And if that door closes, you have to open another door, and that takes a lot of risk taking, which comes right down to humility. I have to humble myself in order to pursue his interest.
You talk about how the word comes from humus, I guess. You have to be close to the earth. You have to lower yourself.
Yes, yeah.
That's where humility comes from.
Yeah. Well, Matthew Fox, theologian, talks about that. Yeah.
You also quote Brene Brown, the American academic and writer, someone who's made a study of courage and vulnerability. And she said it takes such courage to tell your story. Did you feel that you were going out with courage as you put this together?
Yeah, in a sense, because I was kind of, like, I do expect flack, especially with the photographs that are in that book. And I'm going, like, this is what's going on. And it's not only just in our community, it's everywhere. And because
Atawabasca.
yeah, I was asked to write some photographs.
By Larry Tyler.
Powerful images.
Yes.
And I thought, I have to prepare myself for my response for that, for example. I have to prepare myself for the fact that I may receive because the words, the language reveal a lot of teachings, you know, and, but you know what? My life is too short to worry about that. I have work to do. I want to leave it for my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, and the 7 generations. Because in my learning, not only did I learn from the elders in ceremony, but schools taught me, books have taught me, but I have to be a judicious thinker, a critical thinker. And what the elders teach is, which means think for yourself. Think for yourself. There's nothing wrong and nothing selfish about thinking for yourself. And when a person talks about themselves, they're revealing a story for you to pick and choose what you need to learn about that.
There's walking and more walking and hiking and long distance walking and sprained ankles and all sorts of things, but it seems you live to walk. And there's so much that you learn from walking, that you take from walking. What does walking give you?
Okay. The word is life is in that walk. Life is in that heart of walking. And so we're always walking at the heart. And all of us are walkers. We start at birth, right? So I've been walking all my crippled it all. Yeah, I love it. Sometimes when I feel empty, that's what I do. I go for a walk with my dogs and I just enjoy the blissful wind, for example. And yeah, it's a real healer. Like it's last year I had to work through some stuff. So when I went on Adrian's wall and I wrecked my knees, it was so healing. It was so healing because I didn't have to worry about those problems. I was focused on this walk. I was focused on the land and the beauty around me and the people I was with. Your focus just, especially when you're on the land, you just focus on the land. It's so beautiful.
Where you live is very beautiful.
Yes, yeah.
Like
Except when the ticks are.
Oh, I haven't been there in tick season, but are there more ticks than before?
Oh, yeah. You know, as a child, I never used to see ticks. The only ticks I saw were in rabbit ears.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I didn't even know what they were.
I will turn to you just in case. It's 10 to 8. If you have something you'd like to say to Louise or ask a question. David McLeod. Wonderful.
Break the ice, I guess. I know you've included a lot of language in your books. Just wanted to ask about that. How do you differentiate which when you're using English and when you use Cree? Just your methodology of doing that, because I find it really interesting that you're taking your language and you're giving it back.
There are some words that are almost lost in our language, and I really feel a need to preserve those words because when you read the word, it just doesn't mean one thing. It can be a whole story, and so I do it for myself too, so that I remember the word. You know, I don't know if that answers your question. And I want to promote this book. It's going to be a reading by my lovely sister and friend and and so yeah.
Book launch coming up here March 5th, Emma?
Yeah.
Yeah, great, good. That was good of you. I want to promote your book. And I believe the things that you pointed out that I'm dressed in the colors of your book. So
Yeah,
I'll just keep it on.
it was quite a discussion having that book cover. We went through a big process. Really? Yeah.
How did you choose this one? It feels like the Northern Lights.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the Northern
Yeah.
Lights, yeah.
Oh, it worked. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
If there isn't an urgent question or comment right now, I want to ask you about inspiration because this is on a life of inspiration. Where's your well? Where does it come from?
The artesian well?
Your artesian well.
Sometimes through dreams, and sometimes something descriptive that somebody has said a powerful word or a sentence. Like somebody, I asked this person, can I steal that sentence? He said, because I had a young doctor and I could almost smell the pablum on his breath. And I thought, what a great line. I said, can I steal it? And she said, to be honest, Louise, I stole it myself. So I can't even use that. But you know, you're listening to people and you're picking these phrases up, and I just write it in my little journal and I take it from there. Like we were talking about blanket protocol this last week, and we were getting teachings about giving blankets and before I got those teachings, I started thinking, well, what does a blanket mean to me? And then I thought, well, we have the receiving blanket at birth, babies. And then as children, we have blankets that cover us for warmth. Blankets become our protectors. Like for me, my blankets were my protectors against the violence in the family system. And then the blankets of screwing around. And then the blankets of making love with your partner, and the blankets that you use like when you're on a hike or you know, even flying, you use a blanket. So there, all of these images came to me, and also the blanket we use when a person is passing.
Yes.
So there was, and I was thinking about all that before I received the teachings, and it had nothing to do with the teachings. It was just my own interpretation of what that blanket meant to me. Yeah.
At one point, you say that you can even find inspiration in compost.
Yeah.
Which surprised me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you mean compost as a metaphor or the real stuff?
Both stuff. Like we used to call it slop pail.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. And it was compost.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have all these fancy words to, like, people talk about jerky, and I'm like, well, like just dry meat for heaven's sakes.
But you can find in the back of the fridge. Yeah, no one wants to come to dinner at my place. I understand, no problem. You use compost. I didn't do a word count on compost.
Okay.
But there, in the poem honoring our sisters, you write from a very particular point of view. Would you read that poem?
What page is that?
It's 237. I can give you my copy.
That's okay. Okay, honoring our sisters. You will find me at the place where I gather toys and food for the children. I have traveled down the back alley into the dumpster's jaw. Its massive motors chewed until I was confetti. Nothing will be whole. I appreciate your efforts fighting to retrieve my remains. Bits of cloth, red cloth, my body, tobacco dust, wrapped in the foulness around me. Place a fence of medicine wheels and close this tomb. I will sing to you. I will compost, sleep through the pores of the plastic and carpet I was wrapped in. I will pollute the men, foul their words of love. Their hands will tremble, wrap around their throats. taken to the asylum, they'll mutter about the insanity they hold between their legs. I do not wish to upset you with this last breath. Your life is my strength.
This is about reclaiming power and reclamation. It's such a powerful poem, Louise. Thank you so much. It must have been hard to write.
It was because I'm thinking about feminism and maybe women and men, and how some of them have ended up in the dumpsters, right? And in city garbage, and I'm going, what a way to treat people, and yet we end up being compost. And this is their gift to us. Remember me, I'm more than compost, and something beautiful will emerge from it. We need to remember with us.
To close our conversation, I'd really love you to read A Wedding.
A wedding?
A Wedding.
A wedding? I wrote about a wedding?
Ah, you did. You did, and it got published on page 281.
Okay,
It's beautiful.
okay. Someday I'll dance among the night sky dancers. I will be their bride, hauling a string of cans behind when I enter their heavens. I shall swear alliance to the Creator, to the earth, when they present an honorary shawl and blanket. It is their flesh, the dancers, the great mystery, and the earth I consume daily. I will be one with their breath. So much love.
Inan's going to hi.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is everything artistry and humor and joy, and it just teems with life. It's like it's its own being. It's incredible. And it also includes what Lee Miracle would call some loving butt kicking. So thank you for that as well. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming to Winnipeg.
Well, thank you for agreeing to be part of this process. I really appreciate it.
Always.
Thank you.
Thank
And thank you all. Hello.
Yeah.
Kamilas and Dimatsun.
And those of you watching online too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you both so very much. We will now be moving along to the signing portion of the evening, so we'll ask Louise to relocate over to the signing table. Please do feel free to come up and have a copy of the book signed, but please do visit my colleagues at the cash desk before you leave. We very much appreciate it. The book is, of course, wîhtamawik, by Louise Bernice Halfe, Sky Dancer. We're so thrilled she could be here in Winnipeg, and so thankful to her for sharing the book with us this evening and for all of her incredible reading. And of course, so very grateful to Shelagh for steering us through this sometimes raucous, sometimes reflective conversation. It's been so good to spend the night with you both here this evening. Thank you all for being here on this chilly day. I'm going to ask you to applaud very dramatically for these two wonderful people.